Hi everybody and welcome to mini lecture number 2. We will be discussing the pay model specifically with regard to achieving the objectives of fairness, compliance, and ethics. Now, let's dig into these a little bit because these are strategic objectives that the organization believes are important and should obtain in order to have a compensation policy or a compensation objective that will serve to attract and retain the very best talent that there is. Now, I can elaborate and say that this also means to attract and retain the individuals or classes of people who are typically underrepresented in corporations. We might, on this module, we're going to focus primarily on women. And the reason why, as I stated in mini lecture number 1, is because the discrimination that is evident in corporate America is a hot topic given the press given to the abuse and physical abuse and discrimination against women. So let's dig into this, shall we? Now, the first concept you see here is fairness, and this is intended to be a fundamental objective of a pay system. Even if the stated goals or stated objectives or policies are fairness, sometimes they aren't. And one thing that fairness calls for is the fair treatment of all employees by recognizing all employee contributions. And that means that we could look at performance, experience, training, all which could be grounds for higher pay. And we can also look at the idea of procedural fairness. And this is really where most of the discrimination might hide, because this refers to the process used to make pay decisions. And when we talk about pay decisions, we're really looking at decisions based upon job performance, pay for performance, merit evaluations, broadbanding, several different techniques we'll look at in mini lecture 3 that lend themselves or are considered places where discrimination can hide in the open. Then we're talking about compliance, and this is where federal and state compensation laws are meant to ameliorate or eliminate equal opportunity claims and discrimination that could be legally accomplished through manipulation of the pay system. And then third, we're talking about ethics. And ethics are really the concept or a objective where you are really trying to integrate fairness, compliance, and the idea of equality. All three integrated together is a ethical code of conduct that could be represented as are stated to the public as values, code of conduct, objectives, and statements, mission statements that are presented to the public. And what we want to look at in Mini Lecture 3 is that there are many ethical breaches and management misdeeds that by manipulating the evaluations that go into things such pay such as executive bonus payouts, pay rates, stock options, pay for performance, and there are a myriad of pay techniques where the evaluation process that goes into awarding or deciding the level of pay is discriminatory. So that is our general look at the compensation objectives within the pay model. And in Mini Lecture 3, we will look at how those objectives, those stated objectives, which may be written or broadcast to the public as a mission statement, as a code of values or a code of conduct, how those techniques, how those values might be breached by the manipulation of pay techniques. So please join me in Mini Lecture 3 to discuss pay techniques and where you might find discrimination in those pay techniques, and some suggestions or ideas on how those discriminatory actions in the evaluation process may be, and hopefully eliminated and replaced by completely blind evaluation that will not allow for discrimination against any minority group. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in Mini Lecture 3.